The reason I don't stretch daily is the same reason that I don't lift weights daily. Because I want both of these activities to amplify my life, not to consume them. I view both of these training modalities as levers that we can use to drastically amplify our experience in literally every aspect of our lives. So I would encourage everyone to do them to some extent, but that extent should be determined by how much it actually improves your experience of living. And the sad truth is that if you find yourself chained to too many daily habits and routines, it can start to restrict how well you actually live. So with flexibility, I'm interested in optimizing for long-term sustainability rather than just short-term progress. When I transition into a more of a long-term mindset, I realized that what I really want in life is to have a solid foundation of flexibility for the next 4 decades of enjoying living in my body and moving well. And I'd rather have that than a maximally fast rate of progression over the next 30 days. Because in the grand scheme of my life, the next 30 days of training isn't going to do shit to change me. It's the next 5 or 10 years that's really going to make me. So while it is true that a daily stretching habit can help you build flexibility very quickly, whenever I've tried it, I just haven't been able to stick with it. A daily habit that I do every morning or every evening always gets a bit too heavy for me and it starts to cost me more than it gives back. I burn out, I lose motivation, and I eventually quit. And I imagine you've run into the same problems as me. There are a lot of people online advocating for daily stretching, flexibility, or mobility practices. But I think honestly, these are very ill suited to beginners, and they're ill suited to most people who just want to get the benefits of stretching in terms of how they move and feel, but don't have a specific love for stretching itself. As I talked about in my previous video, it's obvious from a physiological perspective that sometimes it can be good to rest, and so stretching every single day isn't going to allow you to get the most out of any individual session, but from a mental perspective, there are also some problems with a daily habit. When I try to complete something daily, this pressure that I feel to maintain that streak encourages quantity over quality. I often find that after doing something daily for more than a month, I'm really just going through the motions. And the reality is that if I'm rushing through it, or I'm stretching while I'm tired or unmotivated for the session, I'm unlikely to actually be doing it well and to be learning the relevant skills and lessons that are kind of the whole point. And a really, really important part of developing a long-term, sustainable practice is the ability to iterate that practice over time. Iterating means taking time to reflect on your practice and making sure that you're regularly tweaking things so that over time your practice develops to conform to your unique lifestyle and needs. And I find that it's hard to do that well when I'm not taking any breaks and I'm forcing myself to stretch even when I don't want to. Many times I'll have an idea while I'm stretching and it will require some research. I want to look up a little bit about the anatomy of the joint that I'm stretching, or I want to watch some videos and hear some programming tips from other experts online. And because life sometimes gets busy, I don't have time to do that before I'm forced to do the next session the next day. Whereas if I have rest days, it allows me a little bit more time to iterate between my sessions, making every individual session a little bit more valuable. Another problem I find with daily stretching routines is that they start to feel like work to me instead of like play. And I believe that deeply paying attention to what you're doing is actually how we have fun. Fun is just being deeply immersed in the present moment, paying attention to it, and enjoying it. Fun isn't in the past, it's not in the future, it's right here, right now. And I fundamentally believe that we can retrain our brains to deeply enjoy just about any activity. I've done that with lifting weights, with stretching, with running. These were all things that I didn't grow to enjoy until I was in my 30s. But the key to doing that, to actually growing to love these things, is to savor the experience, to really pay attention to it, and to allow yourself the space to experiment, to explore, to play, and learn. And so I find that if I focus on streak building, I end up just rushing through the sessions, phoning in a half-assed effort, and just trying to tick off the box and say I did the thing. I think overall, it's better to have a library of curated, positive experiences than just a strictly larger library, including many experiences that are somewhat negative. And so by forcing myself to work out day after day with no breaks, I find it actually counterproductive to the long-term goal of cultivating a deep desire to continually engage in this process for the long term. And ultimately, that's a real problem because real sustainable progress takes place over the long term. Life-changing flexibility needs to be earned over a lifetime. Binging for 1 month isn't going to cut it. Progress comes much slower than that. No matter how fast you personally progress compared to your peers, really, truly rewarding progress will take years. So it's not so important how fast you progress in the first 30 days, it's about how long you can stay in the game continuing to progress. So if you don't want to practice daily, what can we do? Well, instead, I think a better approach for long-term sustainability is to practice just 2 to 3 times a week or whatever fits into your personal schedule. If we practice just 2 to 3 times a week for 5 to 7 minutes, then we can actually use our flexibility and enjoy it in the rest of our life in all of the fun sports and games we play. I get to enjoy the flexibility I've built when I'm swimming, climbing, lifting, wing foiling, and playing beach volleyball. And I simply wouldn't have time to do all of that if I was a slave to a daily habit. And it turns out that infrequent but high intensity stretching sessions can be enough to get you steadily deeper over time. That's how I got my full splits, and that's how I'm getting my full pancake right now, and that's how I'm going to continue to get all of my flexibility goals for the rest of my life. If you want to get started stretching like I do, go grab your free stretching starter pack today. And if you want to start progressing on autopilot, I also have a full flexibility course and can make custom plans for whatever your goals are. Send this to someone else who wants to build a durable, sustainable habit that will help them get flexible over time. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.